I have a very special guest, Frank Orefice.
Thank you.
Junior.
Yeah.
A writer, film, television, stage writer, an amazing talent. Joseph
Molinaro is a good friend of mine.
He's our good friend.
A good friend and very talented himself.
Yes, he was the one who said, Sissy, we're working in a class with Elizabeth Kemp, and Joseph is one of the students, and we met literally last year, and now we're working the Streetcar Named Desire, and he is so committed to what he does, and so, I don't know, it's just, he loves what he does, man. He just loves what he does.
He has a total passion for acting, for writing. I've never saw a man become so focused on when him and I write a story together. It's like, this is the direction, and you deviate just to enhance the story better. That's it. But he is very focused, very intense. I said his middle name should be Intensity.
I know, right?
And I mean that in the most complimentary
manner.
Sure,
we mean it. No, he knows me. But it's funny because he comes across in such a serious demeanor. When he looks at you, when he addresses to you, he talks to you, it's like a sergeant, but not a sergeant, like a cop and not a cop. Like he's right on it. Okay, this is what I do. No. But interesting. He says, Sissy, you have to interview my friend. He's an amazing writer, and he's committed, and we have such a great team. We click so good together. So it would be great if you guys sit down and talk. So here you are.
Yeah.
Thank you for making the time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Sure. Frank, let's go back to the beginning. We have a lot to cover, obviously. You've done a lot of work with your writing, with your film projects, your poetry as well. So let's see if we can go one by one. See if we can cover as much as we can.
Okay. Well, I became a writer. I was inspired to become a writer because of my wife, Marianne. I'm a big Emerson, Lake and Palmer fan. That's my favorite group. And my mind works very visual. So when I hear a song, automatically a story appears in my mind. So I told the story to my wife one time. She goes, why don't you write that? It's a very interesting story. And I told her, I said, I'm not a writer. I never had an aspiration of being a writer. She goes, no, write it out. So long story short, I hand wrote it out. My wife typed it for me. Then she taught me how to type. So I went from a Smith Corona to a word processor to Final Draft on my computer. And that was 38 years ago. And I've had 15 screenplays copyrighted. One of my projects now, which I'm very proud of, is called POV, Point of View. It's a movie that deals with 9 people that are interviewed separately at first, and they voice their prejudice towards each other, towards the government, and towards society, all the while being watched by a member of Al-Qaeda, metaphorically. Like they're watching us, observing us, and whatever we say against each other, they use against us. Now, after the initial interviews are over with, the member of Al-Qaeda looks in the camera and says, this is very amusing. You know, you call yourselves United States of America, you're nothing of the sort. Look, you all hate each other. That's why we're going to win, because you're divided.
Right.
We are united against you.
Hatred.
The worst 4-letter word. You can take the other 4-letter words you're not supposed to say. Hatred is the worst 4-letter word. Then I bring the people together. You know, I bring the Hiroshima victim, the World War II veteran. They talk. I bring the black activists and the white supremacists together. They talk. I bring the Bible-wielding preacher and the black gay man. They talk. I bring the male chauvinist, the white male chauvinist, and the white woman and a black woman together. They talk. I don't offer total resolution, but the way I structure the dialogue, I do not sugarcoat what people...
You call it the way it is.
I let the people call it the way it is. I hate you because...
this reason,
and when a person hears that, what they really feel, sometimes it's like you're breaking down a barrier. You say, oh, you really feel that way about me? I thought you felt that way about me because of this. That's when you start resolving your issues, when you really know why a person hates you. As I said previously, if you make that statement, I hate a person because they're black, I hate a person because they're Jewish, if you think about those words, they sound so ignorant. They don't make any sense. But yet, our generation after generation permeates this. So it has to be stopped. I try to resolve this with people.
But how do we stop it? How do we stop it, Frank?
There's one important scene where the preacher, once he comes to terms with the gay man Donnie, he goes, how can we stop this hatred? And he looks me in the eye and says, stop teaching our children to hate. If you have a generation of children that are not brought up hating other people because of their religion, because of the color of their skin, or for whatever reason, that's how we can resolve a lot of our problems. Believe me when I tell you, I'll tell you a quick story. My grandfather was born on Mott Street in New York. He was born in 1900. He grew up during the Jimmy Walker area. And my grandfather hated Irish people because back then, if you weren't Irish, you couldn't become a New York City police officer. And they used to terrorize, I'll use the word terrorize, the immigrants. They, you know, and that was that resentment my grandfather had towards them. Now, had I been that influenced by my grandfather, I would have grown up hating Irish people. But I didn't. I said, there's got to be more to it than that. Somehow, it just didn't register, the hatred. So I sort of like committed myself to like any injustice that I see, I write about. I try to correct it.
Deeply needed. Deeply
yes,
needed.
And POV covers everything, you know, in that respect. You know, I hope that people will see, especially the scene with the teenagers. The teenagers, you know, are concerned about the future. They say, look what, you know, the grown-ups think of us as sitting in our basements, getting high, doing our video games, but look what how they're screwing up the world. And this is what we're going to be left with. Maybe we, as our generation, should stop the hatred and stop the prejudices of the world. And children today can do that through the internet. I mean, people, they talk to people from all over the world. Instead of talking about differences, talk about unity. Talk about what everyone has in common instead of differences.
Right.
And like I said, the song that inspired me to write POV was by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's called Farewell to Arms, like the Hemingway
novel.
But it has nothing to do with it, but it's the same title. And the one verse that's very powerful, it says, you know, at the end of the, we are all sharing this earth at the end of the day. Well, if we're all sharing this earth, all 7 billion of us, let's share it in peace.
Right, but it's not that simple, Frank.
It's not that simple. I'm not being naive. No, you know, you're trying to eradicate thousands of years of hatred that started even before biblical times.
Right.
Prejudices, tribes hating each other just for being different tribes.
Power, greed,
power
money,
and greed.
empires.
Power, greed, and money. The formula for destruction. Always has been, always will be.
And corporations too. Let's barely do modern about that.
That's part of it. That's
part of the whole equation.
When you say power and greed, you're talking about corporations.
Right.
Okay, they don't care about the common man. Well, perfect example. Look, I hate to knock Disney, but there was something on the news that Disney fired like 100 people, but they hired people from overseas, and they told those 100 people, if you don't train these people, you're not going to get any severance pay. So these people had to train other people from overseas to do their job. Once they were trained, then they would be fired. That's not right. That is not right.
There's a lot of things that are not right, Frank, and it's not easy. God knows that.
We can't cover them in 30 minutes.
We can't cover in 30 minutes, but we can cover a few.
We can cover a few.
We can cover a few. I was checking last night. It's been kind of like a crazy last 2 weeks for me. Sick and battling my cold and my asthma. And I was having a good time with Joseph last night working. I said, oh man, I got to sit down and Joseph, do my work, prepare for my interview, but I've been so sick. And I said, Sissy, you gotta love this man. You're gonna love him because he's a guy who comes easy. He has a lot of integrity and honor, things that people seem to lose nowadays because everybody's so concerned about making it big and everybody wants to get ahead. And obviously, all of us, we want opportunities and we want to be seen, we want to be noticed, we want people to support what we do. That's why we go to Facebook, that's why we go to Twitter, that's why we have websites, that's why we do what we do. We need to communicate. But, you know, somehow we get lost in translation. And it seems
we
like
lose focus on ourselves and humanity.
And what matters. Right?
What really matters is to help other people.
That's correct. Lord of the VS.
Lords of BSV. Now, that's a project I'm extremely proud of. I had met their manager.
Incredible, those dancers.
They are phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
And when I tell people, like, you've seen Ken Reeves in Matrix where his shoulders touch the ground. Of course, like that's CGI or he's held with cables. These dancers can do that without the cables, without any special effects. How I met them, I met their manager Sean Shiz Hustle, that's his name, Griffin, and their lead dancer Ghost. I met them about 6 years ago, and he was explaining to me about their style of dancing called Bruck Up, which is short for Broken Up. It's a fusion of African and Caribbean dancing. It was first introduced to them in Brooklyn in the early 90s from this gentleman, George Adams, from the island of Jamaica. So they were already dancers. They were all friends. They've known each other since they were born. And they looked at this man at a block party and watched his style dancing. They were intrigued by it. They said, wow, we got to do this. So over the course of years, they evolved the style of Bruck Up from a dance style into a lifestyle. And we spent 4 years recording them, their life, their dancing, the neighborhood, their hardships. And I was talking to Shiz, and he wanted me to write a TV show for them. I said, you know what, not too many people know about this Bruck Up style dancing, and it's very intriguing. So I said, why not do a documentary? Let the dancers tell the origins of Bruck Up, how it was developed. So I brought the project to my producer, director, Maria Secor, who has a very long history of dancing, theatrical work, movie work. And she loved this. Being a dancer herself, she was intrigued by it. So we started writing. We started formulating questions. Like writing a screenplay. Writing a screenplay is far different from writing a documentary. You have to interview your subjects. You have to find out. There's layers and layers of stories. And that's what we did extensively. And over the course of 4 years, we got to know them very well. And just like I said, recently we won Best Documentary at the London International Film Festival.
Beautiful.
And we've won actually 6 Best Documentary Awards, and nothing but high praise. And I have to credit Maria with that, with her directing, phenomenal. To be blunt, a lot of people don't like to open up their lifestyle. They don't.
Right.
For her to extract the pure essence of Bruck Up and their lifestyle, what it took to elevate them to this level.
And bring it to the audience.
And bring it visually. It was unbelievable how she did it. So for that reason, she deserves a lot of credit for this, the success of this movie.
Yeah, I was checking
BSV.
the clips on Vimeo last night, and powerful to see this guy conquer.
Conquer is...
He's a character, man. But he was like sleeping right on the floor when he says, and he has nothing, He's pretty much saying, and I'm supposed to be a king. I'm supposed to feel like a king.
He's still homeless.
So incredible.
Yes, he is. But like he said, I have nothing, but he's a giver. He'll go to the schools after school and teach the children martial arts, dancing.
Right.
Okay?
Keep him in the right track. To keep him in the right, for a good cause, what they call it.
Because you're so easily swayed. If you don't have a purpose, if a child doesn't have a purpose in life, they're easily swayed. Like, they're an outcast. And that's where, like, the gangs grab these kids. Oh, you have no purpose? We'll give you a purpose. It's the wrong purpose, but the person feels satisfied inside. Like, okay, I got people that care about me. It's very important for, like, the guy, the dance of the BSV to influence them in the right way. And that's one of the missions in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many dancers in total?
I would say at least 15. At least I know of, maybe more, but like they feel like they're the lords of BSV. They're like up here. Then there's the students, and then there's the children.
Right.
And what you really should, it's really phenomenal. They have an event called LOUD, League of Unreal Dancing. And the next one is April 16th. That's where they compete against dancers from all over the country. Now,
it's going to be in Brooklyn, right?
It's in Brooklyn, yes. Now, if you look it up LOUD on the internet, you'll see where exactly it's going to be held. But this is going to be LOUD 16, I believe. This is like the 16th LOUD event. And they'll get messages from people all over the world. I want to battle Ghost. I want to battle Poba. Poba is one of the strongest dancers.
Interesting names, too.
Poba stands for Proof of Biological Activity. Okay, because he's very strong. He's very grounded.
Yeah.
You know, when
they
he
get
dances.
good sense of gravity, those guys. I tell you that much.
And I'll tell you what, they try. I'll tell you, one time, Ghost, Rain, and Conquer tried to teach me to glide. No.
Impossible?
No, it would have been, if they put that, I know there's footage of that. If they put that in the documentary, it would have been a comedy.
Uh-huh.
Okay? They are.
How do they train themselves, Frank? What's the training like?
The training is very extensive, and it's like the bone breaking. They'll they'll keep pushing their elbow back until they get it. And there's a term that they have called bettering oneself or bettering yourself. So let's say you and I are dancers. Sissy, I had this move. Show it to me. You demonstrate the move. You look at it, you say, that's good, Frank, but try this instead. And then another dancer will come and say, wait a minute, how about we do this? And they'll work at it, work at it, work at it until they perfect the move.
Repetition, repetition, repetition,
and,
process,
and then they
process.
then they all adopt the move.
Work, work, work. It's incredible how they move around. And
yes, I can't. The first time I saw the completed movie, I was like fabulous. I said, this is great.
Incredible.
I remember every scene. I was there for every single scene. So.
In the collaboration between you and Maria Sokor, let's talk a little bit about that. You guys have good chemistry. You work good together.
Yes, she refers to Marianne and I as her stage parents, and she's our stage daughter. And like I said, this helped out her extensive dancing background, and she just fell in love with the way these guys dance.
Right.
Now, Maria and I, we are also working on a project that I explained before, my best friend Cullen, which deals with the young man who was born with AIDS, and he died of AIDS at the age of 15. And I got to know his life story through a friend of mine, Wayne Cisa. Wayne is the founder and director of Free Throws for AIDS. And what Wayne does is he goes into schools and teaches children about AIDS awareness, AIDS prevention, to help them so they won't fall into this trap. So I wrote the screenplay, and that was like one of the first screenplays Maria read that I wrote, and she said she fell in love with my writing, and that started our bond, our friendship together. When we were putting together the questions for BSV, it's like we hit it off. Like I would interview Rain, she would interview Conqueror, then you interview FP. Did you notice about this person? No, did you notice? Okay, we had to incorporate those stories into the documentary. And you're interviewing someone, okay, you find out something, you write your notes, okay, let's go have a beer. So you're sitting in the backyard, you're having a beer with the guys talking, and all of a sudden, you find out something else. I said, why didn't you tell me that in the interview?
Right. Well,
okay.
that happens when...
You know, when a person's in a different, like, you know...
In a different mode.
An interview is like formatted, regimented to a certain extent. And then you're hanging out with the guys.
And then everything all the stuff that you want to come out.
One thing was funny, and they said, yeah, it all started at 430 Dirty. 430 Dirty. 430 Jefferson. Is it 430 Jefferson? I hope I didn't get it right, guys. But 430 Jefferson Street, that's where the guys started dancing as children, young. And that was the origin. And that's we had to incorporate that into the story.
Sure, and I love the fact when it seems like they help you moving and they growing, but they said pretty much, it seemed to me that they pretty much willing to compromise. They wouldn't be willing to compromise their position for anything, right?
No, they are so...
They're very clear.
They are very, very clear. And
very clear and very bright, too. I love when he says, one of them says, test your boundaries. You got to test your boundaries.
That's Blackie. Now, Blackie grew up in Crown Heights, and as he says in the documentary, you have Atlantic Avenue. Okay, you have the L train there. One side is Bed-Stuy, the other side is Crown Heights. And he explained to me, you don't cross over unless you get permission from the other side. But Blackie went into Bed-Stuy, and that's where he met Poba. Now, they formed a bond. They pushed each other. They pushed respectfully. They had a little competition. They did have a competition between the two of them. But they forced themselves to be better dancers. They formed BSV, and all the other dancers revolved around them. You know,
okay.
Ghost is, I'll tell you what, Ghost is incredible. They're all incredible. I love Rain, you know, all the guys, FP,
a lot
Bookworm.
of style, too. They're funny, too.
Well,
so
yeah, they adopt names. Like I said, Rain, he's very fluid when he dances. FP stands for fast pause. He dances real fast, then he stops, then he continues. Fast, that's what FP, fast pause. You know, Conqueror, of course, he's the Dark Lord of the Vamp movement. You know, the Fat Boy is Fat Boy. He's a tremendous character. You know, like I said, Ghost, he dances like the wind. And when you see him do his ghost walk, it's incredible. In fact, if you ever put on YouTube and type in Ghost performance in Baltimore 2008, you will see an incredible, incredible. He does a ghost walk. It looks like he's levitating. When I first saw that,
right? The ability they
when
have.
I saw that, I'm like,
wait a minute, how do they do it?
Now, then I saw them perform live at Rahway, and I'm like 4 rows from the stage, and Ghost comes on, and it still looks like he's levitating. The scene in where he's in the driveway with the 2 BMWs, all right, that's my driveway, and I'm there, and it still looks like he's levitating. I said, how the hell does he do that?
Magic.
Yes.
Magic, magic. What do we have over here?
Okay.
See, I'm trying to cover as much as I can because I know the time goes really fast, and we have about maybe 5 minutes to go.
Okay.
I think.
Well, that's another collaboration. That's from the mind of Maria Sikor, my producer. She approached me a couple years ago and said, I need you to write a comic book. I said, Maria, I write screenplays. I don't know how to write a comic book.
Right.
Nah, you'll learn. Okay.
How on earth do you do that?
So, Rolando Ledesma, he's our artist. He goes, nah, I'll teach you how to do that. So he gave me some books. I went on the internet, studied, and I learned how to write the panels. And so I incorporate the scenes. I got good at it. I said, wow. And then Rollo goes, you're writing just like the guys write at Marvel Comics. I said, okay, that's a compliment. So I wrote, it's called Spear.
Spear.
Spear is a special agent. She was presumed...
she is the agent. And that's my body. Keep it in the QT.
Okay.
Okay.
What happened was there was a attack in Afghanistan that went bad. She was presumed dead. They kept her dead, her identity. So instead of being a lieutenant commander in the Special Forces, she became Spear. And she works for GATU. GATU is Global Anti-Terrorist Unit. So I said, okay, I created the organization she worked for. So I said, okay, she needs enemies. So I treat her like James Bond. I said, well, James Bond has Spectre. Who am I going to create for her? And right away I thought of the Zodiacs. So I created an evil organization called LOZA, League of Zodiac Assassins. And if you want to open up to the center, you'll see that's LOZA. Wow.
Yeah. It looks like the Congress. Shouldn't say that.
Now I didn't give them superpowers. Okay. Spear doesn't have any superpowers. It's all intellect and physical
capability. But you see, all the women are built.
Yes.
Frank.
I didn't write. I write about them. I don't draw them.
I know.
I don't draw them.
It's incredible. It's a perception of women, Frank, and we can keep going about the subject.
We can continue that.
We can continue about the subject, and we're not going to end. But anyway,
but the thing is this:
yes, I cut you off.
Yes, they're built, but each one is extremely intelligent. They're not just brutes. Spear especially.
I take your word by it.
No, well, I'm the writer. I created that.
So
I did not want to create a woman who's just going to beat the crap out of people.
Sure.
No,
it's too much out of that in the business.
There is too much of that. I mean, you're not giving women enough credit. Spear is a graduate of West Point.
Okay.
Okay? She can speak 5 languages. She's a weapons expert. She knows computer technology. She knows financing. She's a master of disguises. In the second issue, you see her as a man briefly, and you can't tell it's her. Okay, so I didn't want, and Maria was adamant. She's not to be a rogue. She is to be a very intelligent agent. Sure. LOZA, all the girls have a special quality, but they're not just assassins. They're all very intelligent.
And driven and powerful.
Yes, yes. They just don't kill people on a whim. Well, they do kill people on a whim, but they're very calculative, very. And they can get out of a jam with their brain as well as their brawn.
Beautiful. In the words of my boy, Viggo Mortensen, in Carlito's Way, man, you get a lot of talent. We got 3 minutes to go. This is crazy. It is crazy. I'm just warming up. And Gloria comes out and said, we get 3. Okay, let's keep it at 5. We roll the credits. I wanted to, number 1, to address my audience. I want to thank Esteban Quesada Vizcaíno for his work in Costa Rica. He's doing a lot of work with the stuff that we shot in Denmark and Sweden. I wanted to thank him, especially. Love you to the gut, to the grave, man. You are absolutely amazing. And Barbara Jimenez, Charles Casano, Alex Romero, Nacho Guevara, and of course, Gloria Guevara. She's Gloria Guevara. Gloria Messer, oh man, she's gonna kill me. I missed her name. Gloria Messer, she's always here on the weekly basis, and we do this.
How long have you known her?
For about, I think I was born with Gloria, because we have a relationship that we're tough with one another, but trust me, she tells me what I need to hear. And even
That's
though,
important.
Yeah, even though I don't look like I'm a good listener, I am a good listener, and I take note of what people tell me. And she cares, she always, I wanted to express it, and please guys, check us on Facebook. Go to the page of Sissy Gamache Show, see it, see my interview, see the work, post your comments. I care, I learn. I know my style is a little bit off. I'm not conventional, but I have a lot of fun doing it.
I'm not conventional when I write. I think what I really appreciate with the dancers, they don't have any barriers when they dance. There's no parameters, they go all out. I don't have any barriers when I write. Right. And that's the way to be when you're creative.
You're serious. You're about the business. That's what Joseph said. You're going to meet this guy. He's a straight shooter. He's a writer. He comes in. He delivers. He's a professional in what he does. He's committed to the game, and he's serious, and I'm serious. So we have a good match. And I want to thank Joseph, of course. He's going to be checking this online. It's going to be airing this interview March 18th.
Okay.
We already had the date. We're going to have the press release done by Charles Casano. And please check us on YouTube, too. Go to YouTube. Go to my website, The Sissy Gamache Show, and check the work. I lost my father to war. I hate to say this to the end, but let's talk about your poetry, please.
Well,
Gloria, I know that we have white background and white background. Can we see it? Can you go to me? No, you can't, right? Oh, yeah. I have it right there. This is a poem.
Well, I lost my father to war. I was inspired by my friends that came back from Vietnam, shattered. And you think I lost my father to war deals with a person losing their father on the battlefield. He goes, I lost you, father, when you came home. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
A shell of a man. Mm-hmm. At one time you held mom so tightly in your arms, now you push her away. Mm-hmm. We used to play baseball together. You don't want to play anymore. You're in your own world. You brought the battlefield into our living room. And then he tries to bring his father back through baseball. He goes, Dad, you remember when we sat? And I go through like periods of time, not just like the present. I said, Dad, you remember when we watched Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig played? Do you remember when Joe DiMaggio caught that ball off of Ted Williams? Do you remember when I hit that home run, I broke Mr. DiMartino's window, and you didn't get mad at me? You paid for the window because you know I hit the ball that far.
Right.
Okay? Dad, I just want you back. That's what the poem deals with. It deals with, what people go through after war, what our veterans are going through now. My nephew spent 2 tours in Iraq, and you don't want wars anymore. Enough.
No, you don't.
We've had wars for 5,000 years. Don't you think it's about time we all said, you know what?
But it's a business. It is a business.
It is a business. Oh, it's a big business. Money.
It's a huge business. Money, money, money. Greed, power.
Oliver Stone covered that very well in JFK.
Yes.
It's a business.
It's a business.
Oh, we need money. Okay, let's start a war somewhere.
Out of the blue.
The public is not stupid.
Right.
Okay?
It's a social awareness, and history doesn't lie.
No.
You go to the facts and you see what happens. And you're very, very much involved in what's going on. You have this sense of awareness. You're a writer. You're a thinker. Mm-hmm. Frank, what do you think is going to happen? We live tough times. Elections are coming up. I don't want to get political. This is not
a political
show, but let's get a little political.
Get political.
Yeah, let's get dirty, man. Okay, let's talk Turkey now. How do we fix it? What do you do? What's happening? What's going on? Hatred. Democrats, Republicans, who's right, who's wrong, what's going to happen to the White House, what's going to happen to Washington, D.C. People, they don't seem to have a lot of faith on the government. And that's for a reason. You think that's going to change?
Faith in the government, it's going to take something astronomical to change people's lack of faith in the government. The reason being is everyone promises. I covered this in POV. the high school students. They say, if you studied elections from 100 years back, it's the same thing. I'm going to give you better jobs. I'm the one that's going to lower your taxes. I'm the one that's going to make better. That goes all the way back to after the Civil War when they promised the African Americans, guess what? You're all going to get 40 acres and a mule. Yeah, where did that go? Nowhere. People are disgusted. They are very disgusted with the government. And I'll tell you this, when it all started, it started the day John F. Kennedy was assassinated because he was a damn good president. Sure, he had his ways with women.
Yeah,
okay, but guess what? He stood up to the Soviets. He was going to put the United States on the silver instead of the gold standard. First, I'm not an economist. I don't know how that would make it better, but in his eyes, it would stabilize the economy. They were against that. He cut the tax breaks for the steel company and the oil companies, two of your most powerful industries that influence politicians.
And they get rid of it.
You know what? He saw that the steel companies were getting so much money back. Well, I got garbage steel over here. That's waste, so I'm putting it as a tax write-off. The same thing with the oil companies. No one liked this. What happened? They killed him. And everybody knew that. Everybody knew that he was killed by his own kind.
There's a lot of things that we know, and a lot of things we're not allowed to know.
Well, my generation doesn't start not trusting the government because of that day. Okay?
Can we fix it? Can we fix it?
I tell you, we have the power. It's still a country for the people and by the people. If someone's not doing their job, you can kick their ass out of office. But you have to make the effort. If you just status quo, we elected this guy and he's not doing his job, oh well, and then you go back to doing your normal deeds, no. You get the people together, you sign a petition, I want you out. You have that right. We have the right as citizens, but you don't execute it because you're afraid. What are you afraid of?
Well, you're not knowledgeable. People, they don't seem to care much about things, man. I mean, it seems like politics, well, everybody's passionate about politics when the elections are coming.
Yeah.
But, you know, when they're not coming, everybody, bottom line, everybody wants to be able to pay their bills. They want to pay mortgages. College should be affordable. It shouldn't be such an impossible thing to do. How can college be so damn expensive? Explain that to me, Frank. Explain it to me. People go to college, they go to Columbia, they go to NYU. They pay that crazy money, and then they graduate, and they go out there.
And there's no jobs.
There's no jobs, but the debt is there, and the interest keep kicking higher. So how do you fix it? College should be affordable. People should be able to make good money and pay their bills.
College, where's the waste? There's waste in government. I mean, it's one thing they did cover on a debate yesterday, as much as a joke that was. They did cover, there is waste that has to be cut. Right. Okay, I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican gets in office. There is waste that has to be cut in the government. Enough. You fed off of us. You're not giving us anything in return. Quick story. Frank Hague of Jersey City. He was mayor of Jersey City for 30 years, uncontested. Robbed the people blind. But he built the Margaret Hague Medical Center. He built Roosevelt Stadium, brought a team in. The streets were clean and safe. Everybody had jobs. Everybody had food. But they knew he was stealing left and right. Now, his top salary was $8,000 a year. When he died, they found garbage cans full of money in his basement. But he took care of the people, so they didn't care what he took. Mm-hmm. Today, they're too greedy. They want to take like almost 100% and not give anything back to the people. Right. Give something back to the people. You're making enough money. How much money do you really need to live? It's what we said before we started this interview. Greed. How much greed and power, how much do you really need?
And at the end of the day, Frank, when we go and we cross to the other side, we don't even take our underwear with us, do we? Can we? Not even.
Well, I don't read anywhere in the Bible that says we can take our underwear with us, but you never know.
Yeah, but can we? We bring what we bring in the inside, your heart, your soul, whatever you're bringing and building in the inside, that's what goes. The rest stays right here. So I don't understand why everybody is so goddamn obsessed with everything.
People think they're not going to die, but guess what? You are.
We die, and all of us, we're not trying to be tragic, but reality is that we are just a little tiny little thing in the universe.
That's all we are.
Frank?
Do you realize that people you know, and one thing Bernie Sanders, one thing I agree with him is like there are people with so much money, they don't know what to do with it. But I don't think it's right just to take it from them because if they worked for it, they earned it. But greed.
And power and corporations. I follow politics very closely. I don't like what's going on with the Republicans. I think it's a joke. It's scary to see all these men standing out there and speaking the way they do and what they think, and it makes me nervous.
I don't want to hear about what you don't like about your candidate. If I ask you, there's 4 people on stage last night. I would ask, okay, number 1, how are we going to correct the economy? Senator Rubio, let me see what you have to say. I don't want to hear about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Mr. Trump, what are you going to do? Mr. Kasich, Governor Kasich, what are you going to do? Senator Cruz, what are you going to do? Okay, you each give your plan. Let the people decide which plan they want to go with.
Right.
Very simple.
But God knows not that
I don't want
simple.
a circus. I'm tired of looking at the circus.
Right? It's entertainment. It's a reality show. It looks like a joke.
It is a joke.
And the White House is serious business. It's
the White House is not a joke.
But it's not a joke.
It's not a joke at all.
And Hillary Clinton, I think she's great. I think she's brilliant. I think she's smart. And she really knows about foreign politics. When you see her answers, she can give you an answer on every single subject. I don't know what's happening, you know, whether it goes to Germany, Iraq, Japan, Cuba, Mexico. This is a woman who's knowledgeable about the cause. She knows, God knows that she's bright, okay? But the Wall Street attachments, and everybody said,
Benghazi,
the strings attached, the strings attached.
Do you know who I want to see run again?
A little shaky about her, but I think she's brilliant.
Sissy, you know who I want to see run again for president on the Democratic side? Bill Richards from New Mexico. There's something about that man I would trust. I just like the way he presents himself, no BS.
Right.
And he has extensive foreign experience.
Yeah.
And I wish he would run again.
Well,
I have to say, if he was there, he would be my man to vote for. That's my person, I should say. He'd be the person to vote for.
Keep hoping. I'm going with Bernie Sanders. He's the man. I love his honesty, the way that he comes across. He's a thinker. He comes from a truthful place. I don't see him trying to manipulate the media to get ahead. He really cares about what's going on. He wants to fix it, and he wants to fix it right and fix it now. And this is a movement, and he got my vote, and I'm not running as a president, but God knows I'm passionate about politics, and so are you, Frank. You are. And we got a minute to go. We'll wrap it up. Your final thoughts, Frank. Bring them on.
Well, first I want to say thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
For having me. I want to thank Joseph for bringing us together.
And your wife and your daughter, who you're going to see in a few days.
My wife. I can't wait to see my daughter in California.
What's her name again, and your daughter?
My daughter's Danielle Marie.
Danielle
Marie. My son-in-law, Chris. I can't. The 4 of us, and we're going to have a good time being together. But I'm very, like I said, thank you to my wife, Marianne, for inspiring me to write. Thank you for Marianne, Danielle, and the rest of my family for your support. And I just want to use my writing to make the world a better place. Now, I'm not naive. I know the mountain to climb. Sure. Okay? I've talked to people in government. I've talked to people that worked for government without mentioning any names. There's a lot of work to be done. If you make people realize not to be so damn greedy, it could be a better world. But people love to have control of people.
Sure.
Okay?
They love it. They love